Screencastify. So it's recording, and so
recording the picture.
Yeah, it's recording my screen and everything I'm saying, and it's using the mic on my computer. So it might not hear you too far, but should be able to hear me. Yeah, I'll repeat questions.
And sorry to overwhelm
Yeah.
questions on this, but so it has the ability that you could bring in a mic. So if I want to actually do clear recordings, I could.
Yeah.
You can change the input on it.
Yeah, you just plug in a mic, and it will just use that as the input. Yeah,
Nice.
just like any. I think there's actually one built into. There's like a game Xbox recorder in Windows 10 actually. Maybe we can. If we have time, I can show you that. I just like it because I do like instructional videos for the software, and so I'll use it for like draw. I can draw and stuff, like,
Nice.
to highlight stuff. So that's what I'll do. Right. Clear. Oops. Let's see. Sorry, we're off track, but this is fine. Yeah, this is fine. It's fine. Yeah. But
Apple makes a phone case.
yeah, they do. Yeah. So I guess kind of most of what we're going to talk about today is shortcut keys, because I find that like not a lot of people realize what you can do with just a keyboard, and you don't really even need a mouse for a lot of the really common tasks that you do when you're like manipulating text or flipping between windows or all kinds of like really common little tasks that you would normally have to like move the mouse and click somewhere and then wait and then go find another spot and click. A lot of times you can do that with keystroke really fast. And so I just kind of want to share that with you. And so I have there's like hundreds of hotkeys depending on what application you're using. There's like you can go into the settings menu, you can see all the shortcuts, but there's a core group of them that I would say that are going to work almost anywhere in any application you're using, and that they're extremely common and they're really easy to remember. So it's easy to incorporate them into like your muscle memory, and so you're doing it without really thinking. And so kind of the first ones that I'll point out are so for anyone who doesn't know how to use a hotkey, usually it's a combination of keys on the keyboard. So you'll usually hold the Control key down or the Alt key or the Shift, and then you'll press something else on the keyboard, and then it will do something based on that command. If you're in a Mac, there's a function button that does a similar effect to the Control key. So lots of times you can replace Control with the function key on a Mac. So it'll be similar effects. So kind of the first couple I want to show you are related to clipboard manipulation. So clipboard being copying and pasting and cutting and pasting. And these are really, so I have up here the touch screen keyboard just to kind of, sometimes it's a little easier to see that for everybody. So, and actually on this, what's kind of nice is if you hit the little control, you'll see over the letters what those do. So these four down here on the bottom are probably the four most common hotkeys that I use no matter what application I'm in. So for those of you who, and Ctrl Z is not related to the clipboard. I'll get to that in a minute. So usually if I want to move some text around, if I was using, so here I have just some dummy text. If I wanted to do this with a mouse, I could select the text, right click, cut, and then I could move it to where I want to go, and then I could right click and then, paste it in, right? That's a lot of clicking and moving your mouse. So what's a lot easier is if I highlight the text, hit Ctrl X, move it to where I want, and hit Ctrl V. So two shortcut keys that, just makes it much more seamless so you don't have to peck through a menu to make it happen, right? And so it's really along the bottom of the keyboard. You're just going to hit Control, hold down the Control key, and then hit X, which is cut. And you're going to hit Control C, which is going to copy whatever's selected. And then once you have it in your clipboard, you hit Control V to paste. So if you can incorporate just those three into your muscle memory, like you're gonna feel so much more powerful when you're working with. And you can do it with files. You can do it with anything you're cutting and pasting. that you would want to work with.
And you can do those with an Apple computer. They're
Yeah.
exactly the same.
Yes.
So
Yes.
no matter where you are,
Right.
those
Right.
work.
Yes, exactly. And no matter what application you have open, which is nice when you're building a muscle memory. I mean, if you're in a specific something that, like if there's photo editing software, there's probably keys that you have built into you that it's only going to work there, but it's really good for your use. So one of the other kind of like underlayer messages is you probably have some application that's in your like industry specifically that's going to have similar like things that you can do with keys and short and so it's always I've always found it helpful to do that, to incorporate. So like for example in my case I have these like all this code that I'm looking at all the time, and I usually want to like duplicate some lines, so I can duplicate the lines really fast, really Ctrl Shift D. So like I do that a lot where I need to duplicate lines, so there's a specific key combination that I just memorize because I use it all the time. So just when you're going throughout your day and you find you're doing something really commonly, you just got to look for it, and it's usually there.
Off topic, what language you code in?
This is JavaScript, what you just looked at. But there's Python and all kinds of stuff, Rust, and depends on what you're doing, right?
Dreamweaver.
Yeah, like HTML. Yeah. So that's copy and paste. So X, C, and V. Control X, C, V. If you remember those three and forget everything else I tell you, that's all you need to know. And like that's probably 80% of the value right there in those three keys. The other one that's really helpful a lot is, especially when you're editing documents, is the Ctrl Z, which is right to the left of X on our keyboard here. So those bottom four letters in the bottom left corner, they all do something really useful. And that Ctrl Z is undo. So that's your escape hatch. I messed it up. So, right, exactly. So that's why the Z is worn away on my keyboard, because I constantly undo what I just did, right? So that I can easily undo all the cutting and pasting without having to go up into the menus and click on anything, right?
And continuing to hit Control.
And you just keep hitting, you just keep hitting it, and it will, Similarly, Control Y actually will redo in a lot of
Oh,
yeah.
There's something new.
Yeah.
There's something new.
Yeah. So Z and Y.
Better now or better now?
Right. Did I go too far or did I not go far enough? Yeah. Got to hit the Goldilocks zone.
Just
Right. Right. So yeah, those bottom four keys on your keyboard, Z, X, C, V, those are very useful. And then 4 letters up, excluding the D, but Ctrl A is also very useful. That's select all. Select everything on your screen. Whoops. And that's really nice when I need to clear everything out, right? Or I want to copy everything into something else. Ctrl A, Ctrl C. I now have everything copied without touching it, right? It just happens very quickly. And you can mix and match these together, right? To like suddenly you can do lots of things with very few clicks. Ctrl S, I'm sure you're familiar with that one. Save should probably be, so Ctrl S will save the document. So that's something handy to just occasionally hit without really thinking about it, because then it's constantly saving and you're not accidentally losing work. So that's Ctrl S. And then there's not really any, there might be a Ctrl D, I don't know what it does. So it's font. It looks, yeah, that's, I won't show you that command today. Control D, it looks like it's font in Word, so it's probably specific to whatever application you're using. But another one that is very universal is Control F. So Control F is find, right? So if you need to search in text, so you need to search through a website or search through a document, Control F will find, right? So, and so,
F is a lifesaver.
Control F is,
Looking for text.
right.
But is it text there?
It's text. It depends on what application you're in. So like in Word, I'm searching through my document. If I have Google up. So like, let's go to Wikipedia, and we'll search through something here, whatever their random thing of the day is. Let's see. So let's say I have this article I want to find something in. I hit Ctrl F, and then you see that thing drop down up here. And then I can type in here, and it will show me all the instances of the word and I can look through the text. So that's really I would say the copy and paste stuff. Yeah, I mean, even when you're getting documents all the time. If you have a PDF, same thing. You can search through your PDF with Ctrl F. So I would say I use that the second most after those bottom four. Ctrl F is I use that a lot. So that's a good one to keep in your tool belt. Let's see, I got some other ones written down here. So like one that's useful for navigating web pages. Lots of times I need to hit the back button on a web page, and you need to move your mouse all the way from the corner to do that. But you can actually just hit Alt back, and it will go back. Alt left. Alt left.
Arrow.
Alt left arrow. And that's one that'll kind of, and you can do Alt right and it'll go forward. So that one's really handy.
You mean on pages you've been on? Or...
Yeah, so you'll have your history, right? So oftentimes you want to go back through your history.
Okay.
And Alt left will go back. It's like, yeah, because it kind of makes sense because the arrow is the arrow you need to hit after you hit Alt. Right, so I find that to be very useful. And I often hit it without realizing that I hit it, so people are like, how did you go back? I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I did it, because you just kind of build it. You need to put it in your muscle memory, otherwise if you're looking them up every time you're using it, you're kind of not getting the savings out of it, right? Other useful ones, specifically with text. So you probably know that you could hold down Shift and move the arrow keys to highlight text, right? Well, you can do that. I'm getting no's. So you can highlight text with the keyboard. So you can hold down Shift and highlight the text, right? By moving the cursor with the arrow keys. If you hold down Control while you're holding Shift, it will do it one word at a time instead of one letter at a time. So you can highlight the much faster. And similarly, if you hit, so one of the other things you can do, go ahead. Control and Shift by word. And actually, so I did that too quickly, but if you hit, so you can move the cursor with the arrow keys. Let's build it up differently. You can move the cursor with the arrow keys, and then you can move the cursor by word by holding the Control keys. So you're just adding Shift on top of moving the cursor, right? And then you're highlighting. So that's how that's working. And then another way to move the cursor is with the Home and End keys. I don't know if you use those a lot, but if you hit End, it'll go to the end of the line, right? Home, it'll go back to the beginning. So I use that. See, sometimes I don't realize.
Can you bring up your keyboard?
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. So let's see if End is on here. Home and End.
Control and Control Home.
Yeah, well, Control End and Control Home will move to the bottom of the document and the beginning of the document.
What were you doing?
Just Home and End. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's on the. So Home and End will move. So I'm on that first. Let me zoom in here, actually. That might make it easier to see. So you can see my cursor is here on the first line there, right? If I hit the End key, yeah, it'll move it to at the end of the line right there. And with moving the cursor, I can also combine that with Shift. So I can hit Shift Home right now, and it'll select the whole line. So I use that a lot too. And then Matt kind of alluded to it, but you can move to the beginning and end of it. It'll select from wherever the cursor is to the end of the line. No? Okay.
It just brings the menu up.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Are you clicked in the document? Is your cursor in the document?
Shift.
paste.
It's like right shift. For me, it's right shift. It looks like it's like if you right click.
Okay.
Are you in Windows 10?
Yeah, I don't. I'd have to kind of take a look at it, but
We're not debugging.
yeah, I'll look at it when we're done. I'll take a look. But end and
Oh,
home.
I'm sorry. I'm in Google. I'm not in Doc. I'm not in Word. I'm in
Gotcha.
Docs.
Okay. I mean, it should be similar. Should be similar. A similar deal.
Oh, you don't have to debug it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So Matt kind of talked about it, but another one along the same lines is Control End and Control Home. That'll jump you to the very beginning or the very end of the document, not just the line. So if I hold Control and I hit End, it's going to take me to the very bottom line. So like you need to jump to the end so you can add more to the end. Control End will get you right there. So you don't have to kind of scroll around to find it. So that's also very helpful. Similarly, you can delete entire words at a time rather than just one letter at a time. So if I hold Control and hit backspace, it's going to delete the whole word. So because lots of times you find yourself doing this, right? You're clicking it a bunch of times. So just hit Control and then it'll do it a whole word at a time. So up to the next space character, basically, which I find that to be really useful. And then, so that's kind of the manipulation of text, useful pieces. There's other things that are a little more Windows specific around jumping between windows. This is probably something that's probably number 3 on my most commonly used thing would be Alt Tab. And so what you'll do is you hold down the Alt key and hit Tab. And if you keep holding the Alt key, this little window will show, and it will show you all your active windows. And if I hit the Tab key, I can select through the open windows. And then when I release the Alt key, it will open that window for me. The other cool thing about this is it puts it in the order of most recently opened. So when I do it again, the Word doc is the first item on the list. So what ends up happening is if there's 2 windows you're toggling between, you just hit Alt Tab really quick and it'll go back and forth between them really fast. Right? And if I need to go find another one, I can do that.
And that's just the 2 most recent?
Yep, it does it in most recently active windows. So Alt Tab is Alt Tab.
If you just do it like Alt Tab and then release, it goes between the 2.
The 2
Or
most
you
recent,
hold
yeah.
down Alt and you tab, then it
Yeah.
shows you all the.
So I'm holding the Alt key down and I'm tabbing through the windows. And as soon as I release, as soon as I release Alt, it's going to open that window. Yeah, you're comparing things. The other cool thing for comparison that is useful is Windows key. Hold down the Windows key and you hit one of the arrow keys. So this will let you kind of split the windows automatically from left and right. So if you hold Windows key, hit right, it'll split the window to the right, and it will ask you which window you want to show on the left, which is super useful if you want to have things side by side, like instantly, right?
Wow.
Which you can also do by dragging.
You can drag
If you wanna
that,
use
yeah.
the mouse.
Yeah, if you want to use the mouse, you can like drag it to this side, and you'll see it kind of see the window, see the outline kind of pop up there.
This for me was like the best part of Windows 10.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Was this side by side?
Yeah. Because sometimes
I mean, it's always been there actually in the hotkey form, but not in the visual form, like the mouse form. Yeah. You can also hit Windows up, and it will maximize the window, or it will do that if you already. So there's kind of like, if you hit Windows up, it'll maximize. Windows down will minimize, and then if you do it again, it will fully minimize into the up and down will maximize, and then kind of then unmaximize and then minimize into the taskbar, depending on like the different wherever it's at. Up and down will kind of take it to the different scales. So that's really handy, using the arrow keys with the window key. So we have this Alt Tab, right? There's kind of a new similar functionality in Windows that is Windows Tab that does something that is similar but looks a little different. So if you hit Windows Tab, it'll pull up all of your tasks. But rather than having to hold it down, I can kind of scroll through and pick the one I want with my mouse, right? So I can click on it and it will pop it up.
And this also has a historical view.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
it's
it.
that one in the bottom.
Yeah, that's this. Yeah, if you click this on your menu, it'll do
Accident-
similar thing.
There's a hotkey.
Yeah, Windows tab will do it.
Oh, okay, I accidentally
Yeah.
did that one.
Yeah. The thing about this that's not quite as obvious is in the top here, there's a little button that says New Desktop. So what this lets you do is gives you a fresh desktop that you can switch to. So if I click New, I now have two kind of desktops that are available to me, and I can switch between them. So this one is like blank with no windows on it, right? So I can set something up here, and then if I want to switch to the other one, I can do that.
What would be an instance of that being useful?
I might use this, so like I do a lot of demos with screen shares, and so I have specific things that I want up, but I maybe still want something running in the background that I don't want to show. I would use it for that, or if you have like groups of, you want to save your state without turning everything off. I think it kind of hibernates things when you switch windows, but I'm not sure how much optimization happens when this happens, but that's there.
But let's suppose you were working at, and you were doing contract work that you believe was confidential and all that. And then you take your computer up here and use it for, then, projection or lunch. You could use that.
Yeah.
You bring this up.
Yep.
And then
And it
all
wouldn't
your
have to
work
close
is saved.
Yeah.
You close it all down.
Yep.
Bring it up here. You're just hiding it behind.
Right.
And then this is what's showing.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Can
Yep.
we show that the history function there too?
Yeah. So if you have it activated, it will also show a history underneath here. I just have it turned off on mine.
Oh, okay. And that's just like documents you've been working on.
Yeah, it'll show it. Yeah, on Matt's screen, you'll
Various
see.
things I've had open
Yeah.
since June 9th for some reason.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I work in a couple of different programs at the same time, and there's like Apple H, and it just makes that go away. Is that
Apple
instead of
H.
Command H?
Oh, to
Just make it go away.
yeah. So like to minimize or to just show the desktop.
Well, it'll just show something else. Like if you've got two things, one of them will go away.
You want to close it completely?
No, it doesn't close it completely. It just minimizes it.
Okay, minimize. Yeah, so minimize would be Windows down. So Windows key down. So that'll minimize it down into the
What would
bar.
happen if you hit Command H?
Command H. Nothing.
Okay.
But there is a way to show the desktop, right? To like
Yes. So
scatter everything.
this isn't a shortcut key, but down here in the bottom, let's say I want to quickly minimize every window I have open. Down here in the very bottom right, you see like this little sliver button. I don't know if you can see it, but if I click that, it hides all my windows. It will shrink them all down. So you see, when I click that, it would, and if I click it again, it'll restore them all back up. So if I need to like quickly get to a link on my desktop, I can throw my cursor down in the corner, click on that, and then it shows me the desktop. So that one can be handy sometimes if you need to quickly get to something on your desktop.
What was the keystroke? I'm sorry, to get
Yeah.
to what this does.
Windows tab. Yeah. Yep. And then there's there's a couple more that are, useful in terms of and specific to like browsers. The one that's really handy for me in a browser is middle clicking. So on your mouse, if you don't have a mouse, it won't work. But on your mouse, you notice you'll have the scroll wheel, and that usually can click, right? If you use that to click on a link, it will open it in a new tab in the background. So that will keep your kind of work or whatever you want. So middle click is a handy one to have when you're like want to keep your history up, or you're working in a million tabs. Some people like that, right? Yeah. And you can also hit Ctrl T, and that will pop open a new tab. I use that a lot. Control T in a browser will open up a new tab for you.
And Control Click will do the same thing
Yeah, I believe so. It'll open in a new window. Yeah.
It opens a new tab.
Yep. Yes, it does. Yep. So Control click is the same thing as middle click. And then kind of like my final tip is F6. So if you're in a browser, if you hit F6, it'll hop you into the address bar. So you can start typing real fast. So you don't have to move your mouse up there. So kind of inundated you with stuff that's in my muscle memory, but you know, if you practice with, I mean, it's a lot. But if you have these kind of tools like ready to be able to use, it can make things a lot easier for sure.
Awesome.
I would say in 6 months you could do this again.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Like, after you're done, like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, does Microsoft have a tutorial for this? Or are we doing it?
No.
No.
Yeah, I mean, this is it, right? Well, we're recording it too, so if you want to see it again, you could just watch it. And it looks like Matt was taking some notes.
Yeah, I was just thinking Windows shortcut to search. We'll probably go to the list because I'm gonna need some of these were new for me.
Yeah.
Too. But I think if I just see it again, I'll
Yes.
remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I won't remember some of them unless I see it.
Right.
Get a list of them, just-
Yeah. Yeah, and if you go on Google, there's millions other ones of these. I'm giving you the ones that I use a lot.
These are very.
Yeah.
And just remembering, we had said too that 3-finger
Oh yeah, the 3-finger you can do 3-finger up is the same thing as Windows tab
on the trackpad.
if you have a trackpad.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We covered everything on our list.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we did. All right. Thanks.
Anybody have a question?
I'll stop the
Anything
screen
else
recording
anybody
for
loves
the.
about Windows 10 that we didn't cover? Cool. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
I just